Morning, everyone, and welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community Oceania Hundoke, together with Reverend Greg Stone today. Today being Sunday, the 21st of November, or the 17th of October in the 9th year of Chongalguk. Let's begin by offering a bow to our Heavenly Parent and true parents, Chariot, Kyombe, Haru. And let's recite our family pledge, both in Korean and English. Thank you.
가전맨세 3. 천일국 주인, 우리 가족은 참사랑을 중심하고 4대 심정권과 3대 왕권과 환조권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 3. Our family, the owner of Chongalguk, pledges to perfect the 4 great realms of heart, the 3 great kingships, and the realm of the royal family by centering on true love. And I'd like to ask Mark Burfield if you could offer the opening prayer, please.
Please join me in prayer. Dearest loving Heavenly Father and our true parents, we greet you this new day, the beginning of a new week. We thank you that we can come together each morning in this Oceania Hundoke to connect heartistly with you, with our true parents and with each other, and to make a foundation to advance the providence in this part of the world. We realize that we are living in a very important providential time with our true mother on earth. Only a few more years, of course, that she could live physically on this earth. And we pray that during this time with our true mother on earth, we can fulfill our responsibility to connect as best we can and support as best we can the advancement of your providence to establish Chongalguk, especially towards the key years next year, 2022, 2023, 2027. We really want to support and recognize what we need to do, and as we gather together each morning, we get energized and we can feel supported and feel connected. So let's begin this week with a great foundation. Look forward this morning to hearing from our beloved elder brother, Reverend Greg Stone, a report in the name of Mark and Masako Burfield, West Central family. Arju.
Arju. Thank you. And let's give a warm welcome to Greg as he shares with us this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Reverend John and Reverend Yutaka, brothers and sisters. Good morning. Reverend John asked me to, a couple of days ago, to prepare something for this morning. So I'll just share my screen. Okay, so yeah, I thought I'd share a little bit about the mission work in Oceania during the very exciting years of 2003 to 2008. It won't be a really comprehensive, coverage of everything that happened during that time, because so many things happened on many different levels. But just a bit of a snapshot with some of the key things that I felt were very, very important. Okay, let's have a look here. Okay, yeah, so this is, of course, Oceania. This is our region. It's now called Subregion 5, and it's part of the Asia Pacific 2, incorporating the 14 nations of sovereign nations of Oceania. But we've got 9 territories plus a few more, and also now we have six additional countries in Southeast Asia. So this is a Hundoke, so I'll begin with a quote from Father related to the Oceania region. This was from a speech that Father gave around 2006 in Hawaii. Only when peace and security are settled in the Pacific Rim can peace for all humankind be guaranteed. As I said, the small island nations by themselves will not be able to stop the incredible tsunami of powerful nations moving into the region. The time has come, therefore, for all the small island nations in the Pacific Rim sphere to unite as one. The small island nations dispersed in both the northern and southern regions of the Pacific on either side of the equator, as well as Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, Indonesia, Singapore, and the Solomon Islands, Australia, New Zealand, and other countries, should enter into an agreement as one body to sustain peace throughout the Pacific Rim sphere. This will secure peace and stability for all people. What I'm saying to you is that you have the responsibility to protect and save the oceanic realm, which is the resource on which humanity's future depends, from the environmental destruction and conflicts that are worsening by the day, and shield the raw materials for the sake of peace in the future. So, yeah, this of course indicates also that there is a plan from God. He has been working powerfully behind the scenes of history according to a heavenly plan, which is culminating in the emergence of the Asia-Pacific era. So yeah, this is our region. It's really, I think, one of the biggest in the world by area, but quite small in population, with only in Oceania around 40 million people, and but massive areas of ocean and, of course, ocean resources. And these are the nations that we have, and it's divided into three main kind of like subracial groups: Melanesia, Polynesia, and Micronesia. Looking at this a little bit more, these three regions, we see that there's the Polynesian Triangle, which goes from New Zealand right up to Hawaii, right across to Easter Island. So the people of Polynesia are there, and there's Tuvalu. You see, that's categorized as being Polynesian, whereas Kiribati, just sort of next door, is categorized, I guess, mainly as being Micronesian. So I was assigned when Dr. Yong came to the Continental Leader in 2003. I was assigned up to Micronesia. He divided the region into the Micronesian sub-region of Oceania, and then I was made the leader of that Micronesia. So dealing with Mariana Islands, of course, Palau, Guam, the also Federated States of Micronesia, or sometimes called the Caroline Islands, and then Marshall Islands. So I was assigned to those three sovereign nations and 2 territories. Reverend John and also Paul Saber were assigned more to the Melanesian region, based in Solomon Islands. And then we had other missionaries, I think Dr. John Didsbury, and of course other missionaries based in the Polynesian region as well. But anyway, there was also Australia and of course New Zealand. Yeah. All right, next one. So now, of course, our Asia Pacific region is now broken down into 5 or even 8 regions. You've got the Central Asia up the top there, here. Then, of course, the Oceania region is here, and then you have the Southeast Asia area here, particularly with Malaysia. With Philippines here, over here, and then Malaysia, and then you've got Indonesia, Singapore, Timor-Leste, yeah, in that kind of region, which is the additional six nations, which consists of Asia Pacific too. Okay, let's see. this is when we went up to Palau. I went to Palau with Jeff, and Jeff went with his whole family. And Tim and Margaret were based in Palau at that time, as missionaries been there for many years. Before that, they were also in Guam, I think some 10 odd years in Guam as missionaries. So Izako where's Izako? She's not there in that picture, but so Jeff and I arrived there and met up with Tim and Margaret, and we started a mission work based in Palau. And I was also traveling around to the other regions of Marshall Islands, Federated States of Micronesia in particular. Yeah. And so just looking there, we also went with John and Selena Carlo. They came very soon after that and started to really help us. So there's John. And also Bobby and Tony. They were the martial arts, the Tongamudo brothers. Both are black belts, and they started activity with Tongamudo in Palau. Yeah, this also, you see some of Jeff's children at that time. You can see also Maddie, who was also Tim and Margaret's son. Yeah, also John Gearing was there with one sister, I forget her name now, but they were coming up to do a religious youth service project at that time. But this is beautiful rock islands. Some of you had a chance to go to Palau during the summer end of 2019. So amazing scenery, amazing place, beautiful marine environment as well. Okay, so yeah. So there we go. And these are some of the youth in Palau. These are some of the teenagers. This picture sort of depicts the kind of spirit of some. It's sort of like because it's in a U.S. territory. The kids can freely go to the U.S. There's a lot of cultural influence from the U.S. And yeah, you can just see that a little bit, I think, probably from the kids there. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, father, of course, had spent so much time fishing and with incredible vision for the ocean, with so much Chongzong put into the ocean area and to fishing and ocean resources. So this is another interesting one. We see the famous calligraphy that True Father wrote in 1992 in November. You'll recognize some of the people there. This was at the Burwood Centre in in Burwood in Sydney, which was later burnt down. But so that building is no longer there. But this is the calligraphy that Father was writing at the time. You see Mr. Rai there, a young Mr. Rai. You see Reverend Kim Hyung-kun, who was the continental leader with some of his children. I think that Seti's chin there, I would say. Yeah, I think he was probably security at the time. And there's my wife, Reiko, looking quite young. And you probably see one or two others that you recognize as well. Okay. Yeah, and that was what Father was writing. Unified world begins from Oceania. In New Zealand, he went after that, in 1992, went across to Auckland, and I wrote the calligraphy, Liberation of All Humanities Through Self-Reliance. So there it is, and you might recognize, show whether you can recognize one or two people there as well. Okay. So I think Revenito would have mentioned this in his report a little while ago, but the beginning of this ocean age was in I think the year 2000, when Father all of a sudden unexpectedly visited the Marshall Islands at the invitation of President Kesainot at the time. Yeah, and he spoke to the Congress, and then he, of course, went out fishing with Kesainot and so on. So that was a very exciting time. So what I want to talk about now is this was beginning 2003 is this 14-nation tour. That was quite amazing because until that time, although they're very dedicated and sincere and strong missionaries based in some of the island countries at the time, it wasn't easy for a continental leader to actually go and visit and conduct activities and support them much. They were kind of pretty isolated up until then, and then mainly I think because it was just so hard to get the resources to fly. Very expensive and very, very time consuming and, difficult to travel. But when Dr. Yong came in, he was absolutely determined in the first year of his mission to travel. So he said, I'm going to do a 14-nation tour. There's 14 sovereign nations in the region. I want to visit them all. And I want to conduct workshop, some kind of seminars and teaching programs. So we thought, well, how on earth are we going to do that? And so he had to put it, not just himself, but a team. So around 5 of us formed part of the team with Dr. Yong, and we started traveling. You see here, started in Sydney, across to Auckland, New Zealand. Then we went right up to here, which is Samoa, Tonga, then across to Fiji. We went up to Kiribati, Tuvalu, then Kiribati. Then we went to Vanuatu, we went to Solomon Islands, across to Papua New Guinea, went right up to Federated States of Micronesia. Then we went across to Marshall Islands, then across to Palau. And we even went to Nauru. Nauru was the last place we went. And it's a very, very hard place to get into, but somehow I'll explain a little bit about how we ended up getting into Nauru at that time, 2003. Okay, next slide. So this was the timing of the 14-nation tour in 2003, starting 24th of July in Sydney, in New South Wales Parliament. It wasn't in the, it was in the theatre. Yeah, it wasn't in the library where we had our event last time, but it was in the theatre, which is a big, much bigger venue. Yeah, so then of course this is it from July, then of course August. There's a lot of events that occurred in August, going right down there. You see them, and then then September we traveled there through more of the Melanesian countries, and then ended up 25th of September in Koroa, Palau, and then Nauru 15th of October. So in less than 3 months, we traveled right across the entire region, and we conducted seminars. We conducted teaching programs. And there we go. So at the same time as teaching, we also tried to meet the heads of state or heads of government, the prime ministers, the presidents of the country. So we met all these people. Yeah, these were all, this is Vanuatu, Solomon Islands. Yeah, this is Marshall Islands, Palau, Samoa. They were the prime ministers and presidents at the time. This was Tuvalu. This was Kiribati and Ote Tong, believe it or not. Also, this was Nauru, King of Tonga, and this was Federated States of Micronesia. The ones we couldn't meet were the big, sort of more developed countries of Australia, New Zealand, and then this was Fiji. We couldn't meet him, and this was some Samare of Papua New Guinea. We couldn't meet. So the last 4 we couldn't, but the top 10 we could, which is rather amazing. You know, just turn up and just meet them. You know, like we didn't book ahead or anything. So this was around the time of you know, the Sydney event. It was, you can catch from this, there's a lot of excitement, a lot of activity amongst the Ambassador for Peace. Dr. Yong was particularly interested in the Ambassador for Peace, and he made personal relationships with all of them, really. They all really loved him. See a very young David and Marissa Clark across here. And of course, Reverend Song and Mrs. Song were there. And then Dr. Yong, Mrs. Yong, Katrine, there we go. This is a very smiling Reverend Tanaka and Mrs. Tanaka. Isla, Paul Saber, got Mark there. I think that is Kim. And this is Greg Hansen, Mike Tracy. Can anybody remember the name of this brother? He was second gen. His name just evades me at the moment.
The moon.
Yeah, that's
Sun Moon.
in Sun Moon. That's right. You see him and his brother in Chongpyong and in Korea. You meet
He
them.
works for Chongsim International School now.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so Mr. Moon, there he is, second gen. He came out as a missionary sent out at the time to the Oceania region. He traveled with us. You get Nathan Rampai. They're long time Ambassador for Peace and lovely friends and close to us all. And then you've got Aziz and his wife. This man here from the Assyrians is a lovely man. Passed away. I'm not sure whether he's passed away. Katrine would know. Sorry. And Reverend Lambert Carter, wonderful, wonderful Christian leader, Reverend Dr. Lambert Carter from the Congregational Church. John Disbury at the back there. Jeffrey, look at that. His hair's not grey anymore there. Yeah, okay, so you can see a lot of very faces you'll remember there. And look, there's just, as I said, it's just a snapshot. We had this event in Tonga. And who's this over here? This is Chihiro, right? You got Chihiro, very young and handsome. He was missionary. He was missionary everywhere in those days. I think Samoa and Tonga, many, many years, and Solomon Islands. Yeah, he's part of the history of Oceania. I remember he used to come back. After being in Tonga, and he got on his bike and did fundraising, and he used to wheel like a kind of a crate behind his bike with his product and stuff in it. I seem to remember. Anyway, this is also Baron Vale. We talked about him recently. He was such a great friend to us. He was the president. He became the president of UPF, and he was always so supportive and welcoming, and he was a great ambassador for peace. His daughter is now the Queen, I believe, yeah. And as Reverend Santosh mentioned, his son is now entered Parliament and may even become Prime Minister. Got a good chance. So you've got there the barons, you know, there's a kind of a royal lineage there, and recently it's been, you know, reduced a bit. The power of the monarchy has been reduced a bit, but still there's, you know, this tier system, and where the barons, you know, the sort of the royal lineage is there. Okay, yeah, there we go. So this is Kiribati. Yeah, we just turned up in Kiribati. Actually, the one who laid the foundation was this young brother, this young Japanese brother. He was sent there as ocean missionary. So yeah, he used to go there and
Mamoru Oyama.
yeah, Mr. Ayama, is that right?
Yeah, Max.
Yes.
Max, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I remember he would go there, and there's no, hardly any land, just water, and he just go out there and into the water and like the native people and just go to the toilet there and just yeah, that's what a lot of people do there, you know. But the one who was really a key person was this man here. I think he was former vice president, Iuta. His name is Iuta. He passed away, but his son, I think, is now a politician there. But he was always supportive of us whenever we visited. And Reverend Santosh and I think last time we saw him alive, we visited there and met up with him as well. So yeah, that was was called the World at a Turning Point. And it was the Interreligious International Federation for World Peace, the precursor to UPF at that time. So these are the people in Kiribati. Let's see now. Yeah, this is Solomon Islands. Yeah, you can see all these people very responsive in the Solomon Islands. And well, in Samoa, we met with the Prime Minister then. He's no longer the Prime Minister, but I think in the opposition. But we had breakfast there at Aggie Gray Hotel, and we introduced the character education programs, which he was very, very excited about. We had Minister of Education there and several other key leaders at the time. We met the King in Tonga. Of course, he passed away, but yeah, we visited his residence and met up with him as well. In Fiji, the media was very easy to access. Dr. John Didsbury at that time was very good at media, and he represented us and gave the news of our conference coming up and the work that we were doing. This was Natapai. He was the Prime Minister at the time in Vanuatu. So we were holding this was at the university there. It's a branch of the University of South Pacific. And we held the conference there and we invited him along. He just turned up at our conference. So we're all chatting with him. And then later, he was invited to come and open the Peace Embassy. He actually made a special trip to Australia and he actually officially joined us in the official opening of the Peace Embassy in Sydney as the Prime Minister. It's amazing. Yeah, we could also access the media in Solomon Islands. This was the radio going nationally, explaining about all of our work and the conferences that we were having. And this one was in Funafuti, Tuvalu. Yeah, so you can see, yeah, some of the people there. I think this was in the church headquarters. And the key, John the Baptist, that opened the door to Tuvalu was this man here, Reverend Yosefa Naisali. He really came on board and he opened the gate to Tuvalu. And he went there with us and, basically we could speak to anyone we wanted to and use the church headquarters for our conference. Yeah. This one is Nauru. Yeah, that was an interesting place. Mamiko and I went. I don't think Paul went. Dr. Yong couldn't get there, I think, at that time. And the man who opened the door to Nauru was this one here. His name is Baron Wanga. At that time, he was Minister for Education. And because you have to have a direct invitation to get in there from a native, Nauruan, he was the one who allowed us in. We held the conference. This was the number of people who came, and we gave the whole conference there. And we couldn't meet with the Prime Minister, the President at the time, because Nauru was like two camps. Some were very much against us. They didn't want us to meet with the President although we went to his office, tried to meet with him at the time, but we couldn't do it. There was people blocking us. And but interestingly, as we flew out, Mamako, we were of course we were in the economy seats at the back, towards the back of the plane, and Mamako said the president is in the front section, in the business section. Why don't you go up and say hello to him? So I went up there and I just leaned over and I said, hi, we just visited Nauru. Do you mind if I have a seat? And I sat next to him. Sat next to him in the plane. There he is. At the time he was President Renee Harris. Anyway, had a good chat about, he had a kidney failure. So he had to go out and, have these sort of kidney purifications off island. Anyway, he was saying, if you guys really want to help the islands, you need to help us with these kind of health issues, because our infrastructure, we don't have enough hospital coverage, and when anyone has a serious problem with health, they've got to leave and go somewhere else. Anyway, he was just suggesting that we could help in that that way. All right. So at the same time, okay, that was a 14-nation tour in a very brief format, and not covering it fully. But at the same time, also in 2005, during that 4 or 5 year period, we also Dr. Yong got the inspiration to bring the parliamentarians to Korea. So we had 3 sessions of bringing. We started what they call the Parliamentarians for Peace. So I think in the world, this might be the first place in the world that we actually did this. We were capable of doing it. So, you had very high level people. He's a Speaker of the House from Tonga. And then Lisa Nankin was traditional leader in Federal States of Micronesia. But we had Speakers of the House, we had ministers of Parliament in Palau, we had several people from the Hui and so when we went there, the Speaker of the House had to come and welcome us to the National Parliament of Korea because of all these, just from point of view of protocol. These people, these visitors, leaders from different countries, he had to officially welcome. So then he took us up there and gave us morning tea or afternoon tea, and then spoke to us, allowed us to share, and we got a spokesman and spoke to him. So that was very interesting. I think even in Korea, they couldn't really access the parliament very easily at that time, but that was sort of one way we could do it. So yeah, that was the 3rd Oceania Parliamentarians for Peace seminar outside the Korean Parliament. Okay, this another very exciting event that took place at that time was Dr. Yong got the idea of launching the Interreligious International Peace Council. So this he convinced the Reverend Quark somehow that we were going to bring a lot of high-level people, and he had to finance it. So somehow to be traveling around doing all this thing, you need to get money from international headquarters. So somehow, and also from our Japanese missionaries, which were really beautifully and strongly supporting us at that time. So this was in Samoa, March 9th to the 11th, 2004 in Apia, Samoa. And we had, it was fully supported by Prime Minister at the time, and we had I think so 5 heads of government and several formers and 1 or 2 future. So it was a beautiful time. We got up there and sang, and each of the national groups would do their own little national representing song. This was the then Prime Minister of Tuvalu, Sapuanga, and basically the Tuvaluan group. You have Reverend Josefa there as well. So they were singing sort of like, and then our missionary brother from New Zealand, Jeffrey.
Steve Osborne.
Steve Osborne, sorry, yeah. Okay, Steve Osborne, he did a great job in Tuvalu. He was, opening the way, and somehow he was also a great missionary there for Tuvalu. This one is Nauru. You may recognize him. This was Baron Wanga, once again Minister of Education in Nauru, but he later became the president and came to Nepal. But we knew him so well. He was like a brother at the time, and a really excellent guitarist and singer. Nice voice. It was what was the song he used to sing really well? Anyway, I might think of it in a minute. The old town looks the same, when you step out of the train, and there to meet me was
grass of home.
Yeah, right. He really sang that so well. He was almost like a professional. Anyway, grass of home. And there was, of course, that was this one here, former Prime Minister Sitiveni Rambuka, and of course there was some Sokamanu, sorry. So anyway, you can see a lot of the people Okay. And there was Jeffrey. He was the media guy, and he was doing the interviews, the Prime Minister and others. And Dr. Walsh was there, and we had breakfast there. Sir Alan Kemakeza and his wife was there. He was the Prime Minister of Solomons at the time, with the Prime Minister and his wife from Samoa. And there was also Sapawanga was there. First Lady of Palau was there as well. So this was the kind of people that were there. Karen Judd Smith was there as well. Former president of FSM and his wife. This is Rambuka, Sokamanu, and then the Prime Minister of Tuvalu, First Lady Debbie Ramingasau. The Prime Minister and his wife there. I think the head of the church of the Christian Council was there.
Reverend Okafawolo.
Thank you so much, Sidi. Reverend Okafawolo passed away, but he was a great supporter of that event too. And Baron Vaya, you can see there as well. Anyway, amazing people. And then we were hosted by the Prime Minister at the Robert Louis Stevenson Centre. Beautiful mansion there on a kind of hill, lovely green fields unfolding there. And we had this amazing dinner, all hosted by the Samoan Prime Minister and government. So it was really a partnership at the time with Samoa. Amazing. And then we were breakouts. This was the Tuvalu group. This man now is the current Governor General. He was the president of the Church of Tuvalu, representing some 97% of the population. And now he's the Governor General. Good friend. So there we go. Our Japanese sisters were incredible support to us. Dr. Yong did not waste any chance. He would bring us all out to Hundake. It was on 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning. And you see here Baron Wanga sitting on the floor. He was the future president of Nauru, listening to Dr. Yong and all these, the former Prime Minister, Nina and his wife, and these people, incredible. Anyway, he wouldn't waste an opportunity to teach about Father and, teach about the divine principle and so on. So that happened when there was many private meetings. Just a little bit for those who aren't familiar so much with the Oceania, and I'll finish off pretty soon. Several of the nations are actually coral atoll nations. So that's what they look like from the air, but they're only like 1 or 2 meters above sea level. Some kind of like a volcano. They believe it's a volcano is coming from the bottom of the ocean, and then it recedes, but it leaves the coral around it still there in place. And the peoples went out there and settled in these amazing little places. As you're coming in by plane, that's what these little strips of land look like, you know. A few coconuts, and you're wondering how on earth the plane's gonna find a place to land. And yeah, this is what it looks like. And then on the ground, it's coral and coconuts, and not very fertile land usually either. So yeah, this is it. No rivers, no mountains. Yeah, they just depend on rainfall, but also subject to, you know, rising water levels as well, these atolls. But you've got yeah, so the nations of Tuvalu, Kiribati, Marshall Islands are full coral atoll islands. That's all they are, just, you know, these coral atolls. Some places like Federated States of Micronesia has quite a few coral atolls as well as high islands. So yeah, that's that's Oceania. Okay, we did a bit of character education. This was Irene Anania. She came to Palau at that time, and she taught, because the president, Remengesau, was very positive and very supportive of character education. He allowed her to teach in one of the schools. I think she taught there in a pilot program for several months, and she adapted, you know, the local stories and culture. She really did a great job and worked really, really hard to try to get an appropriate character education program for Palau. We also had another amazing event in Federated States of Micronesia related to character education. This was a summer school, because it goes on for what, 11 days. This was a character education and life skills summer camp during the school holidays. This was the main high school in Pompeii, in Federated States of Micronesia. Mike and Beth Tracy and family were the missionaries there. You can see Mike in the background. Isa Nankin was so supportive, and that's why we could do it, because he was the big traditional leader, and he had a lot of influence to enable that to happen. And they did service projects, and right in the high school, we conducted these seminars. We brought Poppy Ritchie across to help us with the character education. I think this is Daniel Tracy and second boy, I'm sorry.
Nathan,
yeah. And who's this little one? Sammy. He's hugely tall right now, but that's what he was like. So, okay, that's a bit of history. And supporting us was Isa Nankin there, important traditional leader of FSM. And he recently had a heart attack, but he's okay. And Reverend Yutaka and myself met him, and Nankinye, also his wife, very supportive still. They love True Parents. And then the First Lady of Palau was visiting FSM at the time, so she also joined in. We also had these traditional leaders workshops through those years, many, and we brought most of them to Japan, mainly like from FSM. All the traditional leaders went to Japan. 3 major traditional leaders divine principle workshops. I think it was up to like 10 days, you know, teaching divine principle. This was a one that we did for traditional leaders of Palau. We took them across to Davao. Sometimes we went to Cebu, and we taught the traditional leaders at the time. There was Enrique was there, and Tim and Margaret. Where's There's Margaret, Tim. This is Johnson Torrebiong. At that time, he was a traditional leader, but later became president of Palau. Yeah, I'm sure you can recognize many people. Okay, next one. Okay, thank you. Just a bit of a snapshot of some of the amazing things. It was such an active time. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much, Greg. Thank you for sharing all those experiences. And yeah, it's really a great snapshot of that time. That was most of what you said was in 2003. I didn't join the team until the end of December 2003. So a lot of that I joined after, just some of those pictures you might have seen me, but mostly remembering a lot of good memories. I know Kim also went out to prepare during that time, and a lot of us invested a lot, and it was great to be a part. And many of us have different stories related to that time. I remember going to Tuvalu with and just being astounded when you talked about where to land, thinking exactly that the plane coming down and thinking, can it actually land? There's nothing there. And it got closer and closer and closer, and then suddenly, oh, there's the runway. And then I had the experience of both ends because when we were arriving there and then coming out, and just there's no like formality, there's no fence or anything. It's just people, and you just go because. And then when I was leaving, I remember waiting for the plane. The plane only came once a week, and standing on the runway. People were sleeping on the runway before the plane came in to land. And then the plane would come and everyone would stand up, and I stood on the runway waiting for the plane. So I actually lined myself up, and there was the plane, and then moved out of the way so it could land. And I remember traveling around Tuvalu, and you come to a strip of land like the atoll, and one side's the ocean, the other side's inside the lake, and this particular part of Tuvalu is so narrow. It's literally the thickness of the road, and that's it, and it's completely flat. There's no. The highest building is only 3 levels. All the water is stored in tanks underneath in the ground because there's no fresh water, so they have to rely on rainwater, and it's in there. It's just I remember Tuvalu very well, and it was just and visiting the islands after the second time round, 2004, and then following with father in 2005, and then mother in 2006. There's but Dr. Yong and the dream team, he called them in the beginning, with Greg from the very, very beginning, traveling around, and then people joined the team as progressed and went through. So that was quite an energetic time, and yeah, to go to every nation in just a couple of months is pretty amazing, because they were very remote and very hard to get to, and we did so many events. So there's really the power of the Holy Spirit working, and the power of the Holy Spirit is always working. And when you go to the islands, you're sort of face to face with it. But here in Australia, I don't know. It's like a battle to get through I suppose the mindset of oppression, the oppression of the Indigenous people, the oppression of the prisoners that came here, and so there's this different dryness to Australia. But when you go to the islands, it's like I really always felt the spirit jumping. It was just alive with energy. You know, it's so easy to witness, so easy to talk to people, and you can just meet anybody, and everyone is, you know, treats you like part of their family. So I had lots of great experiences on many of the islands, yeah, I'm sure others have things as well. So we don't have much time left, but enough for a couple of people. Okay, thank you. Yes, Matapad, go ahead.
Morning, brothers and sisters. Hi, guys. Hey, I was born on that atoll. You see the picture behind me? That's where I was born. Puka Puka in the Cook Islands. Remote, beautiful. My husband and I was responsible for taking half of the parliamentarians of the Cook Islands to those workshops that Dr. Yong was doing in Korea. So Reverend Greg showed a photograph of the first one. I took half, I think about 12 or 13 to the second one. And the second photo that Greg showed was the third one, which my husband took, the rest of the parliamentarians from the Cook Islands to Korea. Absolutely, yeah, as you say, Greg, it was, yeah, amazing how Dr. Yong could pull those off. And it was the first, like you said, in the world. I don't know if you guys remember, but there's some photographs that I saw in the slideshow with Reverend Stone talking, and then you've got Dr. Yong and others around them. And so I'm looking at Dr. Yong's you know, the way he's standing there looking at Reverend Stone talk. No, not Reverend Stone, Reverend
Paul Saver.
Saver, that's it. Talking, and that's, to me, that's really typical Dr. Yong. He listens, he stands there, he listens, he really listens to you attentively. But when Dr. Yong speaks, oh boy, like in that crowd in that room there, with the president, future presidents on the floor, he's very mesmerizing, and he's done. I think he's done what he did in his time that he was here. It was really incredible, really, and yeah, and so he's moved on to do more greater things in the Americas. So I just wanted to share that with by the way, those workshops, those 3 workshops, or at least the one that I went on, was truly you know, groundbreaking, and now in this part of our world and in the movement, I guess, at that time. And so I feel privileged to have gone there and have been involved and experienced that. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you, Matapa.
Jeff, I just want to say, sorry, there's so much I missed out, like, you know, like the work in the Cook Islands done by Robert and Matapa, and there's a whole area of Palau. I just didn't even get a chance to touch on it all, like spent nearly 4 years in Palau. So I would like to encourage Tim and Margaret and Jeff to prepare. Jeff gave a talk about Africa, but look, what about Palau, Jeff? Come on. And then, you know, yes. Tim gave a beautiful testimony about America and New Hope Singers. It's very, very interesting. But what about Palau? Come on. Come on, let's hear these things. All these things. And Kenji spent so long in Fiji, you know. Come on, all these other people.
Thanks, Greg. That's what we need to stimulate them. So I know there's a couple of people who still want to say something. Did Kim, did you No. I thought you had your hand up. No. Okay. Last person then, Santosh. Go ahead.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. I had a few opportunity to go around with this historical person, Reverend Stone. 2015, when I heard about Kiribati, it was 2015 February that Reverend Kong In Song, we were in Korea and he called me and he told me, do you know about Kiribati? So I said, I think I heard about it, but I never knew. My habit is like I will immediately research and find out and give the report and said, give me 10 minutes. So I researched and went back to him and talked to him, and then he asked me, you have to go to Kiribati. And I don't know what is this Kiribati about. Even Fiji, I was very new, but then later it was arranged that I will assist Reverend Stone to go to Kiribati. Reverend Stone and me, we were waiting plane in Nandi airport, and Reverend Stone told me, Santosh, you need to be very careful. The person sitting next to you might be the president of the country, might be any ministers of the country, or minimum the member of parliament of that country. And I was a little bit okay. Then by chance, the person sitting next to me was the lady was the Minister for Education of Kiribati. So then my expectation was we are going Kiribati. Like usually when we fly, then we are going to a beautiful place or whatever. But when we went to Kiribati, then this kind of country also exists in the world. And then Reverend Stone and me, we were in the same room. And then I was sleeping very properly. Around 4 o'clock, I saw Reverend Stone is a little wake up, and Reverend Stone is doing condition. So usually 5 o'clock we used to do hunduke, but Reverend Stone condition starts 4. And then I said, wow. So I was like the first day I pretend that I'm still sleeping. I pretend that I'm still sleeping, and I let Reverend Stone do his condition. And the second day, the same thing happened. I still pretend, and third day it was not easy for me to pretend anymore. So I came to realize that this is the day, Reverend Stone's day starts at 4, or at 5, or at 6 if hunduke is 6, But Reverend Stone's day starts at the morning starts at 4, 1 hour condition before the hunduke. And then I thought it might be a 40 days condition, just 40 days condition. After the 40 days we'll finish, and then, but after that I had chance to go around with Reverend Stone many places, and usually Reverend Stone and me, we used to be in the same room. And then I started witnessing this in this the Reverend Stone's lifestyle. And in one sense, I felt so guilty of myself that being a very young man, I don't do that strong condition. I don't do the and then when Reverend Stone is doing condition, I see him, touching the picture of his children and Mrs. Stone and VIPs, and he touched their picture and he prayed, and he read everyone's name. And many leaders' name, many members' name, many blessed families' name, and I was really impressed. I was really impressed, and I determined that I have to start something, and I started doing some condition too. So this is the thing that I really witnessed from Reverend Stone's life of faith. And the next thing is usually in Korea, it's very hard, very hectic schedule during the workshop, during the big conference. And then the meeting goes until 11 o'clock. And then Reverend Stone has the next condition that before sleeping also, and he has the same kind of condition. And so even he comes, 15 minutes before 12, he doesn't directly go to bed. I used to directly go to bed, but Reverend Stone, without finishing his condition, he would never go to his bed. So it's very nice for me, seeing that and doing myself, practicing myself somehow, somewhere, the same thing that Reverend Stone was doing. It's a great witnessing that I have done, I have learned, and I have realized in my life of faith. Thank you, Reverend Stone, for teaching me this thing. This is the first thing that I want to share. And the second thing is the foundation laid by the brothers and sisters in Oceania under the leadership of Dr. Young is incredible. Especially, I don't know if Chiro-san is here. I have witnessed the foundation led by Chiro-san, foundation led by Kenji-san here in Fiji, Chiro-san in Tonga. I have witnessed in the first hand, So the person who became very close and whom Chiro-san taught, like now they are leading the country. Now Reverend Stone was talking about Lord Vaya Senior. So Lord Vaya Junior is the very much possible candidate of Prime Minister for Tonga within next two months. So Chiro-san, he invested his strength, his everything in Tonga. So those pioneering brothers and sisters, those investment done in 2000 until 2005 or 2007 is helping us to come until now, until 2021. So I think it's again time that I say this again and again. This is the time. I think year 2022 is a time for us to go around the 14 country of Oceania, and then start teaching divine principle to the youth, leaders, and the political leaders and religious leaders in the 14 Oceanian country, and then that foundation again will bring us for next 20 years. I am the one who have witnessed this, because I got chance and opportunity to travel to all the Pacific country together with Reverend Stone. I have witnessed this thing. So once we invest, that will never be waste. Even we invest a little thing, very small thing, that will still be remembered, and that will come in contact after maybe 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, but still it will come and people remember us, and this foundation will help us in the future. Thank you, Reverend Stone, for presenting a very wonderful report. So I think the report that Reverend Stone gave today is not even 10% of what he has inside him. I think that's not even 10%, but maybe in the future we can hear more from Reverend Stone. And I would like to really hear from Chiro-san and Kenji-san also in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Santosh, and thank you everybody, and thank you, Greg Stone. And we'll move to our unison prayer. I'll just bring up the screen and let's pray together. Jew, Jew, Jew. Thank you, everyone. Have a great Sunday and see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Greg. Good time.
Thank you, Reverend Stone, for nice presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Blessed Sunday, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.